Good day and happy Easter. Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. Alleluia. What a glorious phrase. What a glorious declaration. This morning, as I awoke and saw a beautiful crimson sunrise, it gave me a greater appreciation of what we've been through in the last week, in the last weeks and months. Our weather patterns have almost paralleled what we've been going through in the church, with the highs and lows, the sunshine, the fresh snow, the rain, the freezing rain, the dark days. And yet today, the day of the resurrection, sunshine, brightness, glory. Christ is risen indeed. Hallelujah. Today, Easter Sunday, we continue with our eighth woman, the Women of Holy Week. And today's story is about Mary, one of the very many Marys that we meet throughout the Holy Scriptures. Today is Mary, the wife of Clopas. And her story is simply titled Mary, the wife of Clopas' story. And so we begin. My name is Mary. No, not the one you're thinking of. Not the mother of Jesus. And no, not that one either, not Mary Magdalene. There are so many of us Marys and Miriams around. It's easy to get confused. I am Mary, the one who's married to Cleopas. I was there at the crucifixion holding up Jesus' mother, Mary. Mary, as a sword pierced her soul. Brutal inch by brutal inch. Today we were walking home to Emmaus. When I say walking, it was more like dragging ourselves. More than once I felt like laying down on the edge of the road and never moving again. I don't think I've ever felt so weary and hopeless in my life. I don't really know what I'd been expecting, but it wasn't this. Jesus was the kind of person who gave you such hope in him. That hope would grow and never stop growing. We had hoped that he would redeem Israel. Now I think about it, I'm really not sure what I thought that meant. He didn't have the look of a military leader. I don't mean that he was all meek and mild. He could rage with the best of them, and did often. It was more that brandishing a sword wasn't his style. I suppose I imagined the whole host of heaven would come down and drive out these Romans as the stories of old. I realize how daft it sounds now to say it out loud, but I did believe he could. I did believe he would. So this morning, after everything that had happened, we packed our bags and we went home. I thought it was a bit soon, but on that long, awful day on Friday, I watched my hope ebb away with every dying breath he took. And then the women came this morning to tell us that the tomb was empty, saying something harebrained about him being risen from the dead. And we'd rushed outside and seen the world exactly as it had always been. Roman soldiers and all. The fight went out of me and we packed up and left. It was Cleopas who started the row. He started by grumbling that I'd been the one to follow that Jesus in the first place. If it hadn't been for me, he'd have been comfortably at home right now. That did it. I let him have it all. All my pent-up anger and hurt and bitterness spewed out over him in a massive tidal wave. I was taking a breath for the second wave when I became aware of a stranger just standing there smiling at us, asking what we were talking about. Cleopas glared at him in disbelief. Are you the only one who has no idea what has been going on? The stranger smiled again. Maybe I am. Why don't you tell me about it while we walk? So we did. Turn and turn about. We told him about our hopes and our fears about Jesus and what he'd meant to us. Stranger though he was, I found myself telling him things that I'd never imagined saying out loud. We even told him about the story of the woman had told us this morning about him being alive. He listened and nodded and listened and nodded. Then suddenly he said, "How stupid you are and slow to catch on." I thought it was a bit rude, frankly. But then he began telling us about the scriptures, and I forgot to be annoyed. Starting at the very beginning, he laid it all out. He told my story, all my hopes and my dreams and the words of the scriptures. My heart leapt and burned within me. I was so totally and utterly absorbed that I was amazed to hear him saying, "Look, your village is just down there. I'll leave you here and travel on." We traveled 7 miles, it felt, in an instant. All of a sudden, I couldn't bear the thought that this stranger might leave us. It felt as though I'd known him all my life. It seemed Cleopas felt the same, and so we begged and cajoled, pleaded and persuaded him to eat with us. Eventually, he gave in and came with us. I brought food back with us from Jerusalem, so it was only a matter of minutes before we were ready to eat. It was, I remember thinking, a bit forward of him to take the bread and bless it. That was Cleopas's job as host. But the thought had gone as soon as it was half formed in my mind. The arms of the man's tunic slipped downwards as he raised his hands, revealing gaping holes in each wrist. And the words of blessing and gratitude to his Father in heaven were words I'd heard every single day for the past few years. Words he'd said every time he took bread and blessed it. I looked at the bread in my hand, and in that moment I knew. I knew it was him. He's alive. He is alive. He is alive. Cleopas's mouth formed the words faster than mine did. You're all. But he was gone, the loaf falling to the plate with a crash. We sprang to our feet and ran quicker than I could ever imagine was possible, our feet beating out the rhythm as we went. He's alive, he's alive, he's alive. We arrived in Jerusalem hot and breathless. I thought you went home, said Peter. Voices around the room chimed in. So did we. You might have said goodbye. You can't just go off like that. I was still panting, trying to catch my breath, unable to speak. We've got news, said Peter. Mary, yes, that one. The one you're thinking about. Jesus' mother spoke quickly. Her voice cut through the hubbub. If you give them a moment, I think you'll find they have news too. So many times throughout this week as we've read this book, this wonderful book, that's given us a different perspective on how things may have taken place in the scriptures that we read year after year after year. I believe that they have opened up a new perspective. They've done what we're told to do all the time, to open our hearts and our minds and our souls to receive the word, to process the word, to digest the word. The word today is Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Hallelujah. May God bless you and keep you safe. May He allow you to be surrounded by friends and family and love and hope and joy and the peace of this season as it comes to you. As this scripture touches your heart and soul, as the memories of your past, both good and bad, fill your mind so that you can see the journey of Jesus paralleled in your own, so that you can see your life paralleled in the life of Jesus. So you can see how his story is our story is his story, and together we can rejoice that he is risen. God bless. Enjoy your day. Keep your family and friends close. Love everyone. God bless.